Hello, welcome back to our class 6 of Learning Basic English. In this program, we are going to primarily focus on our communication skills, enhance our vocabulary, and practice our speaking for fluency. As a ritual, we are going to start our class with speaking practice. For today's speaking, you're going to practice once again, who are you? So your introduction is supposed to be a first impression on anyone stranger you meet. For strangers to make a good first impression, you need to practice and deliver a good introduction. And for good introduction, you need to practice it beforehand enough time so that you are able to create a good first impression. So let's start with who are you? Try thinking who are you? How do you describe yourself? And note down all the points on a piece of paper and then practice twice or thrice before speaking in front of the mirror and try to speak for 3 minutes at least. I have given a few vocabulary words that would enhance your introduction for your own self, for your describing your own personality. You can add these adjectives like I am a motivated individual, adaptable, detail oriented, collaborative, proactive, innovative, dedicated, dynamic. For describing your skills, what skills you have, for strengths that you have, you can say, I have analytical thinking, leadership qualities, communication skills, problem solving skills, project management, critical thinking, creativity. For describing goals, what you can tell about your goals, there are a few good words that can add a good impression to your personal goals. In your introduction, you can say career growth, professional development, knowledge expansion, making a meaningful impact, building strong connections. For transition words to be used in your introduction, you can use words like furthermore, in addition, moreover, apart from that, as well as, alongside. You can use other connectors or transition words as well, but they would look greater in your introduction. Try to pick 2 words from at least each section and note them down on a piece of paper and put that piece of paper in front of you while practicing, so that every time you practice, you don't forget to add these words into your introduction. Okay, so let's recall what we have studied yet. In all of the previous classes, what we have studied, let's recall. In first class, we studied about sentence structures and subject-verb agreement. Want to visit that class again? Want to know more in detail? Please go to lecture number 1. Auxiliary verbs or modal verbs. What are auxiliary verbs and modal auxiliaries? To know more in detail, visit lecture number 2 of this program. Passive voice speech, skimming and scanning technique in reading, transition words or connectors, prepositions. What we are going to study today. So one of the C's of communication is complete communication. To write or speak complete messages, how do we form or formulate complete communication or a message? So there's a rule of thumb, 5W, 1H. Wherever we are, in whatever situation we are in our life, if we apply this rule 5W1H in our communication and formulate a message, that message is ensured to be complete. So 5W1H includes who, what, where, when, why, and how. So whenever you have to write a message about any topic, anywhere, in any situation of your life, think about these 5 W's and 1 H before writing a message. Or even if you are listening to a message, think about, are these all questions answered in the message? If the questions are answered, consider the message to be complete. 5W1H is important in communication because it's like the foundation stones of clear, complete, and meaningful conversation. So 5W1H ensures complete information is transferred to the other person in the communication cycle. So it builds longer, more natural sentences. If you struggle with speaking longer sentences, you don't get the idea what to speak more about something. Remember this rule and you would be able to build longer sentences. It improves your listening and questioning skills. And 5W1H rule works in every situation. Wherever you are, you can apply this because communication is everywhere in your life. Look at this picture and think about any one person or any one thing in this picture and try to write one complete message about any one thing using 5W1H message. So how do we write with 5W1H? Write a message, for example, there are a few situations given. You can try writing messages on these. Write a message to the safety manager reporting an accident using 5W1H. Or you can write a message to your class fellow about a change in plan of your quiz. So your quiz was planned today on some time and it's changed. Maybe the time is changed, maybe the date is changed. Think about all the 5Ws and 1H and try to formulate one complete message. The next topic for today's class is nouns and quantifiers. About nouns, specifically, we are going to study about countable and uncountable nouns. There are different types of nouns, but today we are going to touch upon countables and uncountables. Have a look at the picture and try to figure out what is the general formula of countable and uncountable nouns. How do we describe how much of the countable nouns are there and how much of the uncountable nouns are there? If you have to tell about carrots, for example, how will you tell how many carrots are there? And if you have to ask about milk, for example, how much milk is there in the box? So let's see what are countable nouns first. We all know what are countable nouns that can be counted are called countable nouns. They have singular form, for example, a book and apple. And then they have plural form, like 2 books, 3 apples, 5 chairs. You can use numbers and words like many, few, several with them. For example, I have 2 pencils in my bag. Or there are many students in the classroom. Look at the 2 types of quantity we are using in these sentences. In the first sentence, you're telling the number of things. In the second sentence, you're telling the quantity itself. There are a few more examples of countable nouns. Okay, moving on to uncountable nouns. Nouns that cannot be counted individually because they are seen as a whole, mass, or abstract idea. They do not have any plural form. For example, we don't say milks or waters in normal use. They are always singular in grammar. So uncountable nouns are always singular. For example, we never say milks. We always say milk. Or for example, honeys. We don't say honeys. We say honey. So we use words like some, much, a little, a lot of with them and not numbers directly. There is some rice in the kitchen. I don't have much money today. There are a few more examples of uncountable nouns. Okay, what are quantifiers? In the previous slides, we have already studied some of the quantifiers, but let's see in detail what are quantifiers. Quantifiers are words we use before nouns to show how much or how many of something there is. They help us talk about quantity without always using exact numbers. For example, quantifiers are some, any, a few, a little, few, little, much, many, a lot of. Now let's see what are the quantifiers that we use for countable nouns. For countable nouns, we generally use many, a few, few, and several. For uncountable nouns, we use quantifiers much, a little, and little. There are some practice questions given. You can try practicing quantifiers in these sentences. For both countable and uncountable nouns, some quantifiers are common. For example, some. I bought some apples. I need some water. Any. Do you have any bread? I don't have any friends here. A lot of or lots of. We saw a lot of stars last night. She has a lot of patience. Enough. We have enough chairs for everyone. There isn't enough money to buy a car. All. All the students passed. All the information is correct. So these were the quantifiers that can be used with both countable as well as uncountable nouns. You can try practicing these quantifiers in these sentences. Let's move to the next section of today's class, that's pronunciation practice. The next word is pyramid. Pyramid. The next word is maintenance. Maintenance. Here are a few more words that we have already done, but let's recall them once again. The first word is kernel. Kernel. Yacht. Yacht. Biscuit. Biscuit. Ballet. Ballet. Cord. Cord. Mortgage. Mortgage. Receipt. Receipt. Moving on to the last section of today's class, that's learning the idiom of the day. The idiom of today is hang in there. Having a look at the picture, what comes in your mind when you read the idiom hang in there? Hello, dear kitty, hang in there. I'll be back soon. Let's see what it means. It means do not give up. Stay there. Be patient. Don't give up. So, you can use it in sentences like hang in there, for it will soon be over. Hang in there, for good days will surely come. That's all for today's class. Thank you.